I want to welcome you guys to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. My name is Jerry Shockey. I oversee all the youth and educational programs here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio, and we're excited to have you guys a part of our, it's still new, it's only been over a year now we've been doing this, called Heart of a Hall of Famer. And the real idea and premise behind this is to show what it took to get in the Hall of Fame beyond the athletic ability. It can be said for most of our Hall of Famers that if their God-given abilities didn't lie within pro football, that they would have excelled in other endeavors in life. And many of them have, even past their career as a football player, have gone on to amazing careers afterwards. And we have someone here with us today that has gone on to a pretty spectacular career in acting, broadcasting, has been involved with administration with a number of different organizations. So he's been as successful off the field as he's been on the field. And that's the idea, is for you guys to be able to ask questions of our Hall of Famers to find out what made him great, so you can take lessons back, apply those to your lives and your situations, and help you overcome barriers and obstacles just like these folks did. And every one of them, you'll probably hear them say, if you connect to any broadcast, they sat in the same desks as you guys did. And they put their shoes on one shoe at a time, one pant leg at a time, the old saying. They're just like you guys. They just have an amazing ability to persevere and overcome obstacles in their lives. And that's what made them successes here and being enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But these programs are not possible without great partners, great support. And we have to thank those individuals. First and foremost, we got to thank our friends at Cisco, or Tamberg Cisco, which is now part of Cisco. Dan Shaddy, Dan Nicholson, Joe Boyle, and Chuck Ellis, and Kerry Best. They set up the system in Sanford, Florida at the school and allowed us to be able to broadcast this out today. So we want to thank Cisco for their support of this program here today. We also have to thank Seminole County Public Schools for allowing Cisco to come into their school, along with Sanford Middle School, which is where Mr. Youngblood is being hosted, and their principal there, Timothy Hurd. And we would like to thank you guys for making this possible. Without you guys, it wouldn't be. And then last but definitely not least, our unsung heroes for every broadcast that we do here as part of the Heart of the Hall of Famer series. It's our friends at eTech Ohio and Columbus, Ohio. They're the ones doing all the bridging behind the scenes and bringing all these sites together. And they are just a tremendous asset for us, and we greatly appreciate their support. So thanks to Derek and Josh and Jason and all the folks there for all the technical support in making this happen. And then, we can't do this without the schools. Thank the teachers and all the tech coordinators, the regular coordinators, the librarians, all the different folks that are involved in these programs. Every school, every broadcast you do, there's usually 3 or 4 people making it happen at those schools. So I want to thank you for making this possible. And then last but definitely not least, we got to thank the students for tuning in here today. And secondly, I saw some of the questions that were submitted. Thank you for taking this very seriously. I saw some great questions that were submitted to us, so I'm really excited to get these today. So thank you for your preparation, the research that you've done. I know many of you have researched Mr. Youngblood's bio and some of the things that we sent you, so we are really excited to have you guys well prepared and have you guys in here for today. So with that being said, what we're going to do now, just to recognize the schools, because not only do we want Mr. Youngblood to see where the schools are from, we also want the other schools to be able to see where all the schools are from. So what I'm going to do is that when I call upon your school, the teacher in that room can feel free to unmute their mics and give a shout out. And I will apologize in advance to all the schools. Make sure you close the doors in the room that you're in. I apologize for allowing them to shout in the school, but give a shout out, give some school spirit, and let us know that you're there. So we will start off right down the hallway, I think, from Mr. Youngblood. We have Sanford Middle School. If you want to unmute your mics, give a little shout out there. Yeah. Okay, good start, Sanford. I like that. Good job. Let's go to our second group, to Burlington High School. Did you guys get connected? Okay. All right, we'll come back to Burlington. Hopefully they'll get connected here in just a second. Let's go to Louisiana and Jennings.
Say something.
Hey.
Jennings, you guys can do better than that. Let's try that again. Jennings High School.
It's green.
Woo!
Much better. Thank you, Jennings. Let's see if the other school in Louisiana can outdo Jennings. Let's go to Welsh.
Sounds good. Okay, rep 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Thank you, Welsh. Appreciate your attendance here today. let's go to the great state of Texas. Let's go to Castleberry High School if you're there. Go ahead.
Ooh.
Right.
Okay, very good, Castleberry. And last but definitely not least, let's go to the state of Wisconsin, and let's go to Clayton High School.
You ready?
Is it on?
Yeah, it's on. Yeah, ready? Yeah!
All right, Clayton, very good. We appreciate you guys giving the shout-outs. We'll ask all the groups to keep their mics muted until we call upon their school, because in a second here, after we go through an intro and Mr. Youngblood's opening remarks, you guys will then, the rest of the program is going to feed off the Q&A. And that's going to be the order that we're going to go in today. We're going to go Sanford, Burlington, Jennings, Welsh, Castleberry, and Clayton. That's in the order of the registration. So that will be the order that we will go in today, and I'll get back to that here in just a moment. But let me go into the introduction of our guest speaker here today, Mr. Jack Youngblood. He was born January 26, 1950 in Jacksonville, Florida. He was the Rams' #1 draft pick in 1971 and became the starting left defensive end in 1973. Some things to describe Jack as rugged, determined, and durable. He played in a team record 201. Now get this, 201 consecutive games. That's a feat within itself. He suffered a fractured left fibula in the 1979 first-round playoff, but played every defensive down in that title game, Super Bowl 14. He played in 5 NFC Championships games, as well as All-Pro 5 times. He was All-NFC 7 times, and he played in 7 straight Pro Bowls. And then in 2001, Mr. Youngblood received the highest award that any individual player can receive. He was enshrined here into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. Now, that's a little bit about his on the field, but let's talk about, let me share some things that he took place off the field, because again, as I repeat this over and over again with any of the programs, you'll find the guys that we have a part of this program, their off the field careers are as remarkable as their on the field careers. He was in acting and broadcasting. He appeared in 2 television movies, Cat Squad and Cat Squad Python Wolf. He was a reporter and co-host with ESPN Game Day, alongside a pretty popular name that you guys probably know. Anybody heard the name Chris Berman? He was alongside him. He was part of CBS's NFL Today show, as well as Walmart's Great Outdoors show. He was also involved in football administration throughout his career. He had stints in the World and Canadian Football Leagues as in front office with those teams. And then with the Arena Football League with the Orlando Predators, he rose to as high as a vice president and general manager, then later became the president of that team, the Orlando Predators. Another job that he had throughout his career, he was division president for Ethanol Fuels. So you'll see, you listen to it, general manager, president, front office. He's achieved the pinnacle of all these different areas, these different organizations that he's been involved with, just like the pinnacle of success in being inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But one thing we always like to highlight about our Hall of Famers, you'll find it's much more than their work. These individuals are very giving of their time, and we always like to highlight some of their charitable activities, because Mr. Youngblood's been involved in a number of organizations. He's a part of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. He was a part of the NFL USO tours in Vietnam and Southeast Asia. He was the chairman of the Los Angeles Right to Read program. He's involved in the Muscular Dystrophy Foundation as well as United Way. He participated in Hands Across America to End Hunger in the U.S. And then he's involved with a whole host of other organizations, including us here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, with a whole bunch of outreach initiatives like we are doing here today. So before we go to the introduction, or we ask Mr. Youngblood for his opening remarks, I wanted to show you guys a little bit of footage of Mr. Youngblood during his career. And my apologies, the video will come up here in just a second.
At the beginning of his career, no one could have guessed that defensive end Jack Youngblood would play in 201 consecutive games. He was small for a defensive lineman, but number 85 played with the heart of a lion, giving 100% of his dauntless effort every game. He used his lighter frame to finesse his opponents rather than bowl them over. Youngblood's play was admired by many opponents throughout his career.
I'll say this about Jack, and I say this with a great deal of humility. If I had to play against Jack Youngblood 8 times a year, I wouldn't be here.
Youngblood's desire to win brought his Los Angeles Rams to Super Bowl 14. Although they didn't win, they competed valiantly, just like number 85 did his entire career.
And if you guys can all unmute your mics and join me in giving a warm round of applause to Pro Football Hall of Famer from the class of 2001, Mr. Jack Youngblood.
Thank you, Jerry.
The mic's yours if you have some opening remarks there, Mr. Youngblood.
Jerry, I appreciate that introduction, and you know, you're exactly right. The qualities that it takes to play in the National Football League are the same qualities that it takes for you as young people growing up today, facing challenges. It's the same issues we have incurred and had to overcome and had to sustain so that we could be successful in playing the game of football, and they translate right over into life. Hard work, being responsible, and always having a faith in yourself and faith in what you're doing, and that you have the ability to do whatever you want to do. Those three things fundamentally, they translate, you know, from sports to the real world. And I just appreciate being here today, and hopefully we can we'll have some fun with this, and maybe I can you know, give you a little wisdom as to what, you know, Jack Youngblood, what he did, what he went through in those early years of his life.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Youngblood, and we'll go ahead and dive right into the questions. And as I said, we will go in the order of we will go Sanford, Burlington, Jennings, Welsh, Castleberry, and Clayton. And what we'll do is the first round, we'll go through 2 questions from each group, and then we'll probably go through 1 and try to cycle through as many times as we can to make it as fair as possible. All the groups get to have about an equal amount of questions. But before we go to Sanford to have your first questions, one thing I encourage you guys to do is in those list of questions, you know, ask those thought-provoking questions. You know, this is a chance for you to ask, think about this, one of the greatest football players that has ever played in the NFL. Since the NFL started here in Canton, Ohio, there have been about 21,000 players that have played in the National Football League. There are only 267 members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So it is an elite class that you are, you know, of athletes here. So this is your opportunity to find out what made them great. You know, talk about those 6 pillars: the trustworthiness, respect, fairness, caring, citizenship, all those pillars. You know, let's talk about those here today and find out how he applied those to his life on and off the field. So with that being said, Sanford, you can go ahead and unmute your mic, and we will ask the groups just to minimize the background noise. All groups keep their mics muted, and even between your questions, between your 2 questions, mute the mic in between just to minimize any distractions. So go ahead, Sanford, with your questions.
Okay. What was the best life lesson you learned from football?
What was the best life lesson that I learned from football? You know, there were so many lessons that you learn along the way, especially after you've been in the game some 20 years. And you have so many people that influence your life. You have coaches and other players that came before you and that you got to play with, and they added to some of those life lessons. But one that you can take home with you today and remember this, and I've remembered it and memorized it. There's no need to hear what you say. Your actions speak so well. You don't have to tell me what you're going to do. Excuse me. You don't have to tell me what you're going to do. I'll see from your behavior, from your action, what you're going to do. You don't have to tout yourself. You don't have to boast about anything. You just say, and your word is your measure. If you say you're going to do something, then go do it, and do it to the best of your ability. Take that home. That one will live with you for a lifetime right there.
Thank you, Sanford. If you have another, go ahead.
What advice can you give young people about how to develop their character?
How do we develop character in young people? Well, it starts with your parents. I firmly believe, and your grandparents. That's something that's like, it's almost like DNA that's handed down to you. How they believe and feel and sense about things in this world. They're going to be passed along to you. I firmly believe that there's a playbook, and it is called the Bible, and religion is vital. It's a vital aspect of developing character, good character, in individuals.
Okay, thank you, Sanford. And let's go to Wisconsin. Hopefully they got connected. Burlington, are you there? Did you get connected? All right, Burlington, we'll come back to you here in just a moment. Let's go to Jennings, Louisiana. Let's go to Jennings High School.
Okay, who wants to ask first?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
What is your greatest accomplishment as an athlete?
Now, first of all, I've got to ask Jennings High School, are you guys LSU fans?
Oh.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ole Miss fans.
No, one of them is an Ole Miss fan. Everybody else is LSU.
I'm all about the LSU.
Do you know where I played? Do you
Where?
know where I played?
No, sir.
LSU?
Collegeville,
No, sir.
University of Florida.
Aww. I'm an Ole Miss fan.
Give me that question one more time.
What is your greatest accomplishment as an athlete?
The greatest accomplishment as an athlete was probably the fact that I made it from high school level to the college level. I continue to be able to move to the next level through hard work and determination, perseverance. I was blessed with athletic ability, and at the same time, I was blessed with being healthy. Never had a devastating orthopedic injury that cuts so many careers short. But to have, that's probably if you look at the whole deal, that's probably the biggest accomplishment of, making it. Played in high school, went to college, and then on to the National Football League. That's going a long ways.
And James, before your next question, you heard him say he took things in steps from high school to college to pros. If you look at his off-the-field career, it's kind of the same way, where he's worked up, his positions up to as high as president of an organization. So he took things in steps in that regard as well. So these are all things that we can apply in our everyday lives, is that we can take small steps to reach that goal. So go ahead with your next question.
Okay.
How important was your role as a team player?
Well, you have to be a team player. You play on any team. You have to have respect for your other teammates, and you have responsibility with your other teammates. You are a critical part of the success of the unit that's on the courts, on the field, and no matter what game you're playing. You have to be a good teammate. You have to take care of your responsibility, do it to the best of your ability, and then rely on your teammates doing the same thing. That's what creates success.
And Jack, would you say that you carry that same philosophy with your positions with the Arena Football League teams, Canadian Football League teams, and the energy industry? I mean, that same type of philosophy, that team mentality?
Absolutely. You go out and you try to find the best people you can surround yourself with, and when you do that, and then rely on them, you rely on their trustworthiness of getting the job done. But you go and find guys that actually are probably better than you are, but they're good team players, and they'll make a successful organization.
Great, thank you, Jennings, and let's go to probably some more LSU fans in Welsh, Louisiana. Let's go ahead, Welsh.
Is there a young person in their teams that right now that you look up to?
I didn't hear all that question.
Is there a young person in their teams right now that you look up to?
That I look up to?
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure I understand the question, my friend. I've got one son, and several of his friends are they're always in and out of the house now, and I try to give them as much input as possible. You don't want to overstep your boundaries sometimes, but that's part of the influence of being in different families.
And I think I know the direction. And correct me if I'm wrong, the young man in that class, but I think what he's trying to ask is are there any current players in the NFL that either you look up to, or maybe that you think are good examples of character, or things like that?
Okay, yeah. I watch Jared Allen. Watch how he plays the game. Watch Clay Matthews, plays for Green Bay. Got him a ring last year. Watch how he plays the game. Watch how he's 100% of the time. They don't take plays off. They play it hard every time, and you know that it's going to be you can rely on those kind of guys. And that's those two right off the top of my head are two of the best from a defensive perspective.
Great. Let's go to another one, Walsh, if you have one.
Do you think negative events or positive events are better builders of character?
Great question.
It was breaking up on this end. I'm sorry. One more time.
Do you think negative events or positive events are better builders of character?
That's a great question. Can losing or winning be are better examples? Unfortunately, we human beings, we tend to learn more from our faults and from our mistakes and from our shortfalls than we do from our successes. And I don't know why that is, but you look across the board, history will show you that we tend to learn things more when we stump our toe first. When we step on, we get into trouble, we fail, and then we learn how to do it the right way. That's a great question and a great concept to follow, because you do like to repeat the successes. It's just the fact that you need to start practicing that. You need to remind yourself, I did it this way, it was successful, let's do it that way again.
Great question there, Welsh. Let's go back just to double check. Is Burlington, are you guys connected? We'll see if you guys. Oh, okay. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hey.
Welcome. Go ahead and feel free to give a cheer. We let everyone else give a cheer. I'm glad you guys could join in. All right, Burlington, hopefully you've been hearing some of the stuff here. If you guys want to go ahead, if you have two questions, and just mute your mics in between those questions, but go ahead with them.
All right. Have you ever had a moment when your personal character came into question?
My wife would probably say so. Have I had moments where my character came into question? There's no question. I've been tempted. We all are. There's some issues that do you do the right thing or do you do the wrong thing? And that's a test of your character. So, yes, ma'am. I've had too many of those opportunities, and hopefully I made the right choice in a majority of them.
You have another one, Burlington?
All right. You seem to be successful in everything you do. What motivates you personally to always keep trying to do what you do best?
What motivates me? That sense of success. There's nothing like winning. There's nothing like knowing that you've contributed to the success of whatever project, whatever opportunity you're involved in, and that's I guess it's in all of our genes. We want to be successful. You want to hear that, well done, good and faithful servant. You want to hear that kind of response. You like to be successful.
Thank you, Burlington. And let's go to Texas. Our friends at Castleberry. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
What was your favorite NFL experience?
I think you have to speak up a little bit louder.
Say it again.
What was your favorite NFL experience?
What was my first?
Your favorite NFL experience.
Favorite.
Oh, favorite. Walking out on the field in I think it was January the 24th or something like that in 1980 in Super Bowl 14 before the game, warming up, and it was a surreal moment. The lights were going down, the placards were in the stadium, and it was just a surreal moment that I didn't, we had been so close for 5 years, and the door had been shut in our face. We got beat in the championship games, but we finally got there in 1979, 1980, and I can remember that was a special moment. It still gives me goosebumps when I think about walking out on the field like that.
And there's something to be said about that. And Mr. Youngblood, if you can share with us some advice for the students, just because we try, we give 100% 100% of the time. We're not always going to get the A. We're not always going to rise to the top of being a president of an organization. We're not always going to win the Super Bowl. I mean, last year's Super Bowl, I know we got a group from Wisconsin here. Did the Green Bay Packers work any harder than the Pittsburgh Steelers did? Did the Steelers work any harder than you guys did for that Super Bowl? What do you have to say to those students about maybe not quite getting that reward at the end that you really want?
Well, first of all, I mean, it's almost impossible to be a winner constantly, all the time. That's almost an impossibility. It just doesn't. Life doesn't work that way. We're going to stumble. We're going to miss the question. We're going to get a C on the paper. We're going to fail at times, but you have to continue to want to go back and do it and do it right and be successful the next time. Hopefully you learn from the mistakes or the failures, and you take that and refine what you put into it, and you figure out now what else do I need to be successful. That's what keeps you coming back. And no matter what you're doing, playing the game. You know, I got beat by Dallas and Minnesota 4 times, but I said we're going to do this again, and we're going to get it right eventually if we live long enough.
All right, thank you. Let's go to Castleberry again for your second question.
Yes. What was it like growing up in Jacksonville, and did you ever imagine you'd play for the NFL?
Actually, I was born in Jacksonville, and I was, the first 5 or 6 years we were in Fernandina, which was, Amelia Island now. Great little town to be in. Of course, I don't remember any of that, but and I grew up in Jefferson County, up 25, 26 miles outside of Tallahassee, up there in the Panhandle. And did I have an idea I was going to play in the National Football League? I had no concept. I had no clue that I'd ever have the opportunity. It wasn't on my radar. Actually, it wasn't on my radar to go to play college ball. I wanted to, but I didn't have but one and only one opportunity, and that was to go to University of Florida. Florida State didn't want me. I was in their backyard, and they didn't look at us at all. They didn't give me one opportunity to go over there, but the Gators did, and I tried to make when I realized what had happened there, I tried my best to make the most of it.
Thank you, Castleberry, and let's go to our friends there in Wisconsin. Clayton, got a couple questions. Go ahead.
Hi, Youngblood. It was great. Yeah. Okay. As you grew up, what experience did you have that really helped you become a successful player you are and the person you are, or something?
Yep.
What life lesson? I didn't
worked
get
on you
all
one
the
day,
questions.
so.
You broke up. Say it one more time.
Okay. As you grew up, what experience did you have that really helped you become this successful player you were and the person you are?
Probably my grandfather, over and over and over again, telling me that, you're gonna, when you take on a job, when you take on an issue, if you're gonna tackle something, you're gonna do it to the best of your ability, and you're not gonna quit. You're going to finish it, no matter what, and you're going to do it to the best of your ability. You're not going to do it halfway. You're not going to sweep half the room and leave the other half, and you're not going, and you're going to go, to any extent that it takes to get the job done in your ability. That's probably that took me further than any other aspect of a life lesson.
Go ahead, Clayton, if you have another.
What kind of player would you be in today's NFL?
What kind of player would I be today?
Yeah.
I would like to think that we'd be a pretty good player still. I'd still be a defensive end. I played at 250. And that's plenty big to play in the National Football League today. But I firmly believe I could go play with him today if I was a little bit younger.
Thank you, Clayton. And we're going to go back, cycle through one more time. We'll go from one question from each group as we cycle through this time. But I do know that Welsh they had something come up. They have to get out a little bit early here in about 7 minutes. So Welsh, if you want to go ahead with one more question, we'll kind of skip ahead to you guys there in Louisiana.
Is character something you can develop later in life without a positive role model early in life?
Yes, you can turn it around at any time you want to. You do need some guidance. You do need some reference. You need some. You need a coach to a certain degree, but there's no question you can turn it. It all depends on what you want to do from your perspective. Do you want to do the right thing? Do you want to to develop character? Do you want to be a leader? If you want to, that's half the issue right there.
And thank you, Welsh. And great question. And usually I chime in a lot more during these programs just to keep things going, but these questions have been so outstanding, I haven't really had to add too much to them. So great questions from you guys. And Welsh, I want to thank you guys. I know you guys have to bow out of here in just a few moments. So let's go right down the hallway from Mr. Youngblood. Sanford, if you have another question, go ahead.
Out of the 6 pillars of character, which do you believe are most important and why?
The 6 pillars. First of all, you have to be trustworthy. I believe that. There's no question. And then that trustworthiness allows you to fall into taking care of your responsibility. It leads you right to that. And then caring. Caring is not about yourself. Caring is about the other person. And when you care, when you would rather them be successful and you help them be successful, that's an intangible that's hard to beat. And you want to be successful, but you also want your friend, your brother, your sister. You want to help them be successful too, and that's the caring part that I think is very critical. But your trustworthiness, you've got to be trusted. You can't, when you say you're going to do something, you do it, and you don't back up. You go and do it, and there's no excuses. You don't put it off on somebody else. It's about you.
And I just saw a perfect example of this yesterday on NFL Network. A Rams quarterback, a guy by the name of Kurt Warner. They did a focus on Kurt Warner's career, and towards the tail end of his career with the Rams, he was benched for, after winning a Super Bowl, he's benched for, I forget who the backup was at that time. But even despite being benched and knowing that he took the team to a Super Bowl just 2 years prior, he took it upon himself to help that quarterback do better. And that's caring. I mean, that is exactly what that is caring. And that just says so much about Kurt Warner. I'm sure, Jack, you know Kurt Warner, I'm sure, and you know the organization well. So it's just a great example of exactly what you're talking about. Thank you, Sanford. Let's go to Burlington.
Your generation is known for a higher standard of character. Where do you see that falling apart in today's students or players?
Where do I find it? I didn't hear the last part. It broke up.
I said your generation is known for a higher standard of character. Where do you see that falling apart in today's students or players?
Good question. I'm not sure that they understand. They understand in today's game. They understand that how the integrity of the game was played in our time. And we played the game with a passion, and we played it for perfection. Being rewarded, being compensated for that was an afterthought. But we played the game to be good and to be excellent and to win. And our philosophy was, you do those things. you play with passion, you play to win, you will be compensated, and you will be compensated well. I think that's kind of been reversed in today's game. They want to be compensated before they go on the field, and I think there's something wrong with that philosophy.
Great question, Burlington. Let's go, Jennings.
How has being an athlete made you a better person or leader? You hit it.
How was being an athlete? How did it make me a better guy? Well, I think it allowed me to demonstrate some of the characteristics that my character. I think it allowed me to be trustworthy, to be responsible, and to care, and to have earned the trust of other players. So I think you add those things up, not just one is the total answer there. I think it's a combination of all of it, and that allows you to have the opportunities to be a better man.
And I think one of our earlier broadcasts last year, another great defensive player, someone that Mr. Youngblood knows, Andre Tippett, shared with the group that football doesn't develop character, it reveals character. So I thought that was a pretty powerful statement. I mean, not to say you can't continue developing character throughout your life, but definitely football will reveal your character on the field. And as you see, it does quite so often, usually positively, but sometimes you see the negative character traits that some folks have as well. Let's go to Castleberry.
Please. Okay, go ahead, Stephanie.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who is your personal rival?
Say it again, please.
Who is your personal rival?
Who was my favorite rival?
No, who is your personal rival?
Who's your nemesis on the field?
Yeah.
There was 4 or 5 really good offensive tackles back in my day. Dan Deerdorf, Rayfield Wright, Ron Yeri, and a gentleman in San Diego by the name of Russ Washington. Those guys made my day miserable. You had to bring a lunch to work with you that day because it was going to be an all-day job.
And you guys may have heard 3 of those that he named are Hall of Famers as well, Yuri and Rayfield Wright. But you heard of that video that I showed you guys towards the end. That was Hall of Famer Deerdorf saying that if he had to play against Mr. Youngblood 8 times, he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Not as in Jack Youngblood wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Dan Deerdorf wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame because that's how good Mr. Youngblood was. So when your rival compliments you that much, you're pretty good. You're pretty good, especially when your rival's a Hall of Fame offensive lineman too. So that speaks volumes. And again, that goes back to what Mr. Youngblood said at the beginning. Yeah, to summarize, actions speak louder than words. He did the things on the field. He didn't talk about them. He just did them. And his peers recognize that, as you heard in that statement that Mr. Deerdorf had. Thank you, Castleberry. Let's go to Clayton in Wisconsin.
Do you think the rules of the NFL game today have changed the way the game was played in the time that you played?
Oh, there's no question that games changed with the rules. They and to certain degrees, I think that they may have overcorrected a tad now. The one aspect that I see this year, and I haven't watched it closely, but I do believe that they're asking referees to make football judgments, not rule judgments, and I think that's hard. They put them in a bad position because the fining of these players is the people making the decisions as to how much they're going to be fined and whether it was a unsportsmanlike contact. They need people who know what that is, defining that rather than guys who don't. And I think that's the only issue. And of course, I haven't ever liked a quarterback in my life, so I mean, that's just one of the issues there when you play defensive end.
Thank you, Clayton. I think we got time. We got about 10 minutes left. I'm showing 10:47, 10:48 Eastern time. We might have time to go through one more from each school. So let's go back to Sanford. If you got a question real quick, go ahead.
When you started playing football, was it one of your original goals to become a Hall of Fame player? And do you think becoming a Hall of Fame player helped shape or improve your character?
If I heard the question right, when I was playing, did I think that I was going to be a Hall of Famer? No, ma'am, not at all. I was just proud that I was drafted and had the opportunity to go and play. That first year, I thought it was going to be a short trip, that I was going to got drafted by the Los Angeles Rams, and coming from Gainesville to L.A. that was a huge jump. And I was just fortunate that I was, that I got to LA and played well enough to stay on the football team. They didn't cut me.
And I think she had a second part to that, and I really like the second part to it. Do you think, and let me make sure I'm getting this correct from what she was saying, how's the Hall of Fame help shape your character now? I mean, being a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Is that what you're asking? I'm sorry, ma'am.
Yes, it will.
Okay, good. I really like that question. Thank you.
When you're a part of something that is so esteemed as the Pro Football Hall of Fame, it makes you very aware that you have a big time responsibility to uphold the statue of the hall and who you're responsible to, and not just the building and not just the organization, but your other teammates that are there. You're responsible there. You should conduct yourself as a Hall of Famer, and realize that people are watching. Unfortunately, they're watching, and they want to see a good man. They want to see someone stand up and do what's right, and they want to be able to say, that's an example I'd like to be.
And I can assure you that there are a number of folks that want to be like Jack Youngblood. I mean, just the character and not just the football player Jack Youngblood, but the person Jack Youngblood. So thank you for the great question. Let's go to Burlington.
What is the first thing you look for in someone's character?
I look for trust and truthfulness. If you tell me a lie, I'm gonna have a hard time down the road developing that trust that I need, so that we can have the relationship, the kind of relationship that you want to have. And I think that carries over into the game, into business, into your family lifestyle. You've got to be truthful and authentic, and that's what you look for, initially in the character of someone you're in a relationship with.
Thank you, Burlington. Let's go to Jennings.
What is one obstacle that you have had to overcome when working with others?
Probably communication. That's a huge issue at all levels of what you do in life, in business, in school. It doesn't matter. You got to be able to communicate with people, and sometimes this North Florida accent just does not come across like it's like I'm thinking it is, and I have to realize that sometimes I have to go back and simplify things and stay on track and communicate to the best of my ability. What you want to communicate. What you want done. What do you expect here? Communication is critical in developing relationships.
Thank you, Jennings. And we'll go last two questions of the program. We'll go Castleberry and Clayton. Castleberry, if you have one.
All right. Yes, go ahead.
Is there any goals you're still trying to accomplish now?
Are there goals that I'm trying to accomplish now?
Yeah.
Is that the question?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
Current goals.
Yeah, I'm working on staying, making it to the 62nd birthday. That's one thing. We're getting old, and and I think that's a challenge in itself, especially after all the mileage that we put on, playing the National Football League and college. So that's one of the goals right now, and eventually I'm looking to build a house up on the farm one day, and that's in the plans.
And improve the golf game too, right?
No, that's hopeless.
Thank you, Castleberry. And Clayton, last question of the program here for you guys. The pressure's on.
What advice would you give to high school athletes in general, and how about to a high school football player that may have the opportunity to go to a Division I level?
I'd tell a high school player today, to go out there and use the ability that you've been given by the good Lord, and use it to the best of your ability. Don't go around and think just because you're 6'2", 215 pounds, that you're going to rely on that. You've got to be the best you can possibly be with that talent. And if you have the opportunity to go to a Division I, Division II school, it doesn't matter. If you get the opportunity to go and play on a football team and get an education, take it. It's the best. It'll be the best 4 years you'll ever spend.
And I think that's one thing, we talk about preparation, and one thing that I wish we had highlight reels of not only our Hall of Famers on the field, but I wish we had highlight reels of them practicing throughout the week, because I guarantee you would find that the members of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, they're the ones that were running hills when no one else was running hills. They're the ones working out when no one else on the team was working out. Their preparation, their dedication, their passion, that wasn't just on Sundays and Sunday nights and Mondays. That was every day of the week. They did that, and that's something we can all take home with us, myself included. I have a list of notes here. I love doing this program because I get advice from some of the greatest players ever, and I learn something from every broadcast that we do. But these are all things that we can take home and apply in our everyday life, whether it's in school, whether it's with our families, whether it's with choosing colleges, whether it's playing sports, whatever it might be. These are all things that we can apply to our lives. So I just want to say, you guys made my job so easy here today. I just kind of sat back and listened to the questions. So there's some amazing questions. I want to thank all the schools for the amazing questions and the prep. You can definitely tell you guys were well prepared. And I want to say thank you to all of you guys for that. And I'd also like to thank Mr. Youngblood for taking time out of his busy schedule and making time to do these broadcasts here today. If we can all unmute your mics for the time being and join me in giving a round of applause to Hall of Famer. And Mr. Youngblood, do you have any closing remarks you'd like to share? We got about 3 or 4 minutes left. Are there any closing remarks you'd like to share with these students?
Yeah. I am tremendously impressed with the questions and the thoughtfulness that went into talking about character in these young people today. I really am, and I hope that we gave you a little insight as to my perspective on some of those thoughts. But go away with the thought that you've got a good thing going there, and you just continue on that path right now, because I heard a lot of good stuff today.
And just Mr. Youngblood, on behalf of the Hall of Fame, and from Steve Perry to Joe Horrigan and Dave Montz and everyone else here, thank you for doing this here today. I want to say thank you to all the schools, all the students, all the teachers involved. We definitely have to thank our friends at Cisco for making the connection possible here today, Sanford Middle School, and Seminole County Public Schools, and then our friends at E-Tech. Without a great team and being able to trust on my teammates to make this connection possible, this wouldn't be possible. I'm jokingly saying that, but it's true. It really is true. Without having reliable and trustworthy partners to do this connection doesn't even take place. So I want to say thank you all to the folks, and this concludes our program. Thank you.